Uh, there is a tiny muscle in your thumb that knows exactly what you are about to do. It tenses, just a fraction of a millimeter, before you even register the thought. You are lying in the dark. The room is quiet. The screen is the only light, casting a pale, cold glow across your face. You just wanted to read the recipe. You just wanted to see the end of the article. You were slipping into that comfortable, frictionless trance of the late-night scroll. But then, the screen darkens. A box slides up from the bottom, blocking the words, blocking your escape. You look for the little gray cross in the corner, the universal symbol for leave me alone, but it is not there. They hid it. Instead, there are two buttons. One is bright, vibrant, pulsing with the promise of a better you. Yes, I want to be smarter. Yes, I want to unlock my potential. And right below it, in faint, ghost-colored text, barely visible against the white background, is your only way out. But to click it, you have to agree to the words they put in your mouth. No thanks, I prefer to stay ignorant. No, I do not care about my health. No, I want to lose money. And for just a split second, you hesitate. Why do you hesitate? It is just code. It is just pixels arranged on a piece of glass. There is no human on the other side judging you. You know this. Logically, you know this. And yet, you feel a phantom prick of defense in your chest. You actually justify your choice to the empty room, thinking to yourself, I do care about my health. I just do not want your spam emails. You are defending your character to an algorithm. But here is what almost nobody notices. This is not an accident. This is not a clumsy design choice by an intern. It is a highly engineered emotional weapon. And it works because it hacks the oldest, most terrifying vulnerability in your nervous system. Think about where shame comes from. For hundreds of thousands of years, to be a human was to belong to a tribe. If you were selfish, if you were lazy, if you were a burden to the group, the tribe would look at you with cold, flat eyes, and that look meant death. Because out there, in the dark, alone, you could not survive. To be cast out was a death sentence. So your brain evolved a specialized alarm system to prevent that from happening. A sudden, burning sensation in your stomach, a flush of heat in your cheeks, a dropping feeling in your chest. Guilt. Guilt is the evolutionary seatbelt that keeps you inside the safety of the group. Now, fast forward to tonight, 11:42 in the evening. A marketing team in an office tower 3,000 miles away has figured out how to press that exact evolutionary button. They cannot threaten you with wolves or winter, but they can threaten your identity. They force you to press a button that says, I am a bad person, and your primitive brain cannot tell the difference between the tribe rejecting you and a pop-up window insulting you. The physiological reaction is the exact same. Imagine the room where that button was born. Fluorescent lights, whiteboards covered in funnels and retention graphs, people drinking expensive coffee, talking about optimizing the user journey. They ran a test. Version A had a decline button that simply said, no thanks. Version B had a decline button that said, no, I hate saving money. And they watched the numbers roll in. When people saw version B, email subscriptions went up by 2.3%. Why? Because 2.3% of people were so deeply uncomfortable with declaring themselves financially reckless that they handed over their personal data just to avoid the micro-shame. You were sold out for a fraction of a percent. Your emotional comfort was traded for an email address. And the disturbing part? It is everywhere. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You go to buy a pair of shoes. The screen asks for your phone number to get 15% off. The decline button says, no, I prefer paying full price. You go to cancel a subscription. The screen shows a cartoon mascot crying, a literal drawing of a bear shedding a tear, and the button says, yes, abandon him. It sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud. Abandon a cartoon bear. But in the moment, when you are tired, when your guard is down, when you have already made 400 micro decisions that day and your cognitive battery is at 1%, it works. It wears you down. Consider the state of mind you are in when these pop-ups strike. You are rarely fully alert. You are rarely sitting up straight, fully engaged in critical thinking. No, you are scrolling. You are in the slipstream. It is a state of mild hypnosis. Your brainwaves have literally slowed down. You are seeking frictionless movement. Up, up, up. New image, new headline, new dopamine hit. Your defensive shields are completely powered down. Your logical brain, the part that knows how to evaluate a threat, is essentially asleep, and this is exactly when the trap snaps shut. They do not interrupt you when you are strong. They interrupt you when you are malleable. Look at the architecture of the screen in that moment. The contrast is not accidental. The yes button is enormous. It is rendered in a color that your nervous system associates with safety and progression. A soft green, a vibrant blue. The corners are rounded. It looks like a pillow. It looks like a door opening into a brightly lit room. And the no button? It is stripped of all borders. It is gray, the color of dust, the color of things that have been forgotten. It is placed just millimeters below the safe zone. Sometimes it is deliberately hidden within a paragraph of text, forcing your eyes to hunt for your own degradation. They make you work to insult yourself. There are 3 distinct flavors to this psychological poison, and you have tasted all of them. The first is the intellectual insult. No, I prefer to stay uninformed. No, I do not want to learn anything new today. This one targets your fear of being left behind. In an age where information is currency, it accuses you of choosing intellectual poverty. The second is the vanity trap. No, I do not want to look my best. No, I am fine with my current skin. This one targets the mirror. It preys on the quiet insecurities you think nobody else can see. It whispers that you are giving up on yourself. But the third is the most devastating, because it targets your morality. No, I do not want to support small businesses. No, I am okay with animals suffering. This is where the mask of clever marketing completely slips away, revealing a kind of corporate sociopathy. They are taking your deepest human values, your empathy, your compassion, your desire to be a force for good in the world, and they are holding them hostage. Think about the inbox, that infinite scroll of demands. You scroll down to the bottom of an email from an organization you once supported. You cannot afford to give this month. You are just trying to keep your own head above water. You find the tiny unsubscribe link. It takes you to a page, and there it is. The text does not just say goodbye. It says, "Are you sure you want to abandon the fight? Click here if you no longer care about the future." The sheer cruelty of it, to weaponize your compassion against you. You sit there, in your kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator in the background, feeling like a traitor, because you need that $20 for groceries, but the screen tells you that your need makes you a monster. And for a moment, the guilt is so heavy, you almost click the back button. You almost let them keep charging you. We do not hold on because something has value. We hold on because letting go would mean admitting we were wrong. Notice the specific words they choose. They never use neutral verbs. They do not say decline. They do not say close. They use verbs of identity. I refuse. I hate. I abandon. They force you to speak in the first person. That is the darkest trick of all. If the button said, "The user declines," your brain would not care. But the button says, "I decline to be my best self. I." By making you click a sentence that begins with I, they force your brain to briefly inhabit that persona. In the theater of your mind, you have to put on the costume of the failure, speak the line, and exit the stage. It is psychological forced labor, because this is not really about a newsletter. And it is not really about a discount code. It is about compliance training. Every time you click that button and accept the insult, every time you let an app define your character, you are practicing submission. You are teaching your nervous system that your boundaries are negotiable. That if someone simply applies a tiny bit of emotional pressure, you will fold. How many times a week do you do this in real life? Someone asks for a favor you do not have the energy for. You want to say no, but you imagine the look of disappointment on their face, the slight shift in their tone, the phantom button hovering in the air between you. No, I am a selfish friend. So you say yes. You hand over your time, just like you handed over your email address. To avoid the guilt, there is a specific kind of exhaustion that comes not from working too hard, but from defending yourself against invisible accusations. You wake up. You check your phone. Notification. You missed your language lesson. You must not care about your streak. Guilt. You open an article. Pop-up. You do not want to support independent journalism. Guilt. You try to close a tab. Wait, are you sure you want to miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime offer? Anxiety. Before you have even had your morning coffee, you have been accused of being lazy, unsupportive, and foolish. By machines. By empty, unfeeling lines of code. You carry this heavy, invisible luggage around all day. A low-grade hum of inadequacy. You start to believe the buttons. You start to think, maybe I am undisciplined. Maybe I am missing out. Maybe I am falling behind. You internalize the voice of the marketer. It becomes your own inner monologue. But then something shifts. And it is subtle, but once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The disturbing part? It isn't what you think. The disturbing part is not that they are manipulating you. The disturbing part is that you are cooperating. You are doing the heavy lifting for them. The screen just provides the script. You are the one providing the emotional resonance. You are the one making it real. Let us look at what is actually happening in the physical world. You are holding a rectangle of metal and glass. Inside it, microscopic switches are flipping between 0 and 1. That is it. Zeros and ones. There is no disappointed villager. There is no crying bear. There is no moral judgment falling upon your soul. There is only a script designed to trigger a chemical release in your brain. You weren't protecting the investment. You were protecting the story you told yourself about who you are. The market didn't take your money. Your identity did. So what happens when you stop cooperating? What happens the next time the screen goes dark and the box slides up and the text tries to shame you? No thanks, I want to stay out of shape. Imagine pausing in that exact second, not rushing to click it out of annoyance, not giving in and typing your email, just looking at it. Looking at the desperate, transparent manipulation. Looking at the man behind the curtain pulling the levers, sweating, hoping you will fall for the trick. It is not intimidating. It is pathetic. They need your guilt. Your guilt is their currency. Without it, their entire system collapses. When you click that button without a drop of shame, when you press your thumb against the words, "No, I prefer to be a failure," and you smile, you are taking your autonomy back. You are saying, I know exactly who I am, and my identity is not defined by a user interface. And there is immense power in claiming the negative button, because if you can look a machine in the eye and say, yes, I will be the villain in your story today. If you can comfortably click the button that says you are lazy or poor or uncultured, simply because you know it is a lie, then what else can you say no to? What actual human expectations can you finally shrug off? What social pressures can you finally look at and realize, oh, this is just confirm-shaming. This is just society trying to make me feel bad for protecting my peace. It was never about the app. It was never about the newsletter. It was always about who owns your emotional state. Every digital space you enter is trying to claim a piece of your internal territory. They want to be the ones who tell you if you are good, if you are productive, if you are worthy, but they only have the power you lend them. You scroll, you swipe, you pause, you read. The screen dims, the box rises, the choice appears. You scan for the exit, you read the insult, you feel the sting. You click, you swallow the shame, you move on. That was yesterday. There is a kind of grief that has no name, the grief for a digital boundary you did not even know you possessed until you watched yourself surrender it, quietly, in the blue light of your own bedroom. But tonight is different. You are lying in the dark. The room is quiet. The pale blue light reflects in your eyes. There is a tiny muscle in your thumb. It used to flinch. It used to carry the weight of 1,000 fake judgments. But tomorrow it moves differently. Tomorrow, it moves with the quiet, dangerous precision of someone who has finally seen the strings. You do not have to defend your soul to a piece of glass. You can just close the window.